Long before neon lights bathed Tokyo's skyline, before bullet trains sliced through valleys, before samurai became symbols of discipline and honor, the story of Japan began in myth, in mystery, and in the mist of time. The Japanese archipelago, isolated yet fiercely resilient, gave rise to a civilization shaped by nature, war, devotion, and relentless transformation. The early people of Japan, the Jōmon, arrived more than 10,000 years ago. They were hunter-gatherers, leaving behind curious clay figurines and pottery etched with corded patterns, some of the oldest in the world. Over centuries, these people evolved, their communities growing into something more structured, more spiritual. Then, from the Asian continent, new waves of culture arrived. During the Yayoi period, rice cultivation spread like fire across the islands. With it came bronze tools, weaving, and the seeds of social hierarchy. Japan's connection with Korea and China was already beginning to shape its future. By the 4th century, clans, called uji, dominated local regions, each one tracing its lineage to gods or legendary warriors. But one clan rose above the rest, the Yamato. They claimed descent from Amaterasu, the sun goddess, and positioned themselves as divine rulers. And from this belief emerged the Japanese imperial line, an unbroken line of emperors that, remarkably, still exists today.
We, the Yamato, descend from Amaterasu herself. Our divine right to rule this land is clear.
By the 7th and 8th centuries, Japan stood on the edge of transformation. Buddhism poured in from China and Korea, along with Confucian governance, Chinese writing, and imperial court rituals. The capital moved to Nara, and then to Heian, modern Kyoto. Here, the Japanese imperial court blossomed into a dazzling cultural force. Court poets whispered haikus into silk sleeves, while aristocrats penned tales like The Tale of Genji, perhaps the world's first novel. But behind the glittering veil of court life, real power slipped into the hands of others. By the 12th century, the Heian court had grown weak. Japan fractured into territories ruled by warlords, daimyo, who depended on elite warrior clans for protection. These warriors, the samurai, lived and died by Bushido, the way of the warrior. In 1185, the Minamoto clan triumphed in a brutal civil war, and Japan's first shogunate was born. The emperor remained, but the shogun ruled. It was a time of swords and strategy. For centuries, Japan was governed not by emperors, but by a military government led by the shoguns. The Kamakura shogunate faced existential threats, none more terrifying than the Mongols. Twice, Kublai Khan sent fleets to conquer Japan. And twice, fierce storms, kamikaze, or divine winds, scattered the Mongol invaders. It was a moment that sealed Japan's belief in its divine protection. Yet, peace was fleeting. The Ashikaga shogunate rose, then fractured. Japan fell into this Sengoku Jidai, the Warring States period, a time of endless war, shifting alliances, and towering ambition. Warlords clashed in a brutal game of survival, their castles rising like teeth across the land. But out of this chaos, three men, known as the Great Unifiers, reshaped Japan. Oda Nobunaga, ruthless and brilliant, crushed rival clans and modernized his army with muskets brought by Portuguese traders. His firepower rewrote the rules of warfare. After his sudden death, his general, Toyotomi Hideyoshi, continued the campaign. A peasant turned statesman, Hideyoshi unified most of Japan and even dreamed of conquering China, launching failed invasions of Korea. Then came Tokugawa Ieyasu. Patient and calculating, he defeated his enemies at the Battle of Sekigahara in 1600. In 1603, he established the Tokugawa shogunate, which would rule for over 250 years. Ieyasu closed the country to the outside world. Christianity was banned, foreigners were expelled. Japan entered an era of isolation, Sakoku. In 1853, Commodore Matthew Perry of the United States arrived with steam-powered warships, Black Hulks belching smoke into Japan's serene harbors. He demanded that Japan open its ports to trade. The Tokugawa shogunate had no choice. Treaties followed. Humiliation deepened. The old system was crumbling. Discontent brewed. By 1868, the Tokugawa regime fell, and imperial rule was restored in the name of Emperor Meiji. The Meiji Restoration was more than political theater. It was a national revolution. Japan transformed at breakneck speed. Samurai were disbanded. Railroads crisscrossed the country. Factories roared to life. The military was modernized. Western dress replaced kimono in government halls. Japan, once secluded, now sought to become a world power. In the arc of history, few nations have changed so profoundly, so rapidly, and yet held so tightly to their soul. The story of Japan is not just the tale of an island nation, it is a mirror to the spirit of a people who refused to surrender to time. From myth to modernity, Japan rose, fell, and rose again, a nation forged by storm, by sword, by silence, and by the unyielding force of reinvention.